Good morning, Internet. This is Alan from Woodcrest Bonsai. And I just finished watching a video from Nigel Saunders at the Bonsai Zone of him trimming his Brazilian rain tree. So I told him I would feature my tree to show the dieback and the stubs that I left. And Brazilian rain trees are very prone to dieback. So I leave stubs that are pretty long. And it has worked quite well on this tree. So if we look right here, there's quite a big stub right here that I'm almost thinking that this part here is still alive. But this part is all dead, so that's quite the stub. Now I can take this off now without too much worry about it, coming down the trunk. Here's another stub right here that is dead all the way to here, so I can now remove that. Or I could turn it into gin. Tropical trees don't normally have gin because they don't normally have really hard wood. And then in the back, there's another one. I can't get my camera in there. Oh, the tree has got a hold of my tripod. Anyway, there we are. So another huge stub. And these stubs were as thick as they are now. So the branch that I took off for this thing was a good 3 feet long. Same as this one here in the front. This stub in the front was quite thick, quite long. The tree itself is really coming along nicely if we pan out. And I apologize for the shade. The sun is sort of coming up, but it hasn't quite hit everything else. So this tree is basically in the classic Japanese style, branch number 1, branch number 2. And I'm sort of stuck in that style, but that's okay. And this is right now the front of the tree, but I really want to change the front to here because I get more movement up in this part here. And my canopy is, and there's another stub hiding way in the back. You see him in there? There's another stub. This tree is beginning to get the muscle, get the flattening of the branches. So here's one that's beginning to flatten, and I'm really happy because the flattening of the main trunk at the base is going this way, so it will not look like reverse taper. Because if it started to flatten like this, many times you see beautiful trees and then the trunk looks like it's only about that thin, even though it's much thicker, but because it flattened in the wrong direction as far as the front of the tree is concerned. So this guy is beginning to flatten at the perfect angle for this tree. And there's a couple other things about this tree that need some work. One is I still have not removed the spines. And in the formative stages of growing a Brazilian rain tree, I just let them grow like crazy, obviously, because of the size of the stubs. And so that's why this tree has so many spines. If you're constantly pinching off new growth, the spines don't have a chance to grow because they only appear as a branch elongates. So I'm going to change the front on this tree when I decide to repot it. It's far too early in the year to really do any kind of root pruning on this guy. I want it to be much warmer. This is a very, very tropical tree, one of the most tropical trees I have. And this was an air layer, and as you can see, all the roots are now exposed. You can see exactly where the air layer was, and I do not like these roots here. So I'm going to do my very best to take these two especially and get them to come here move these, try to pull them up, and I should, yeah, actually that one's coming already. I should be able to get some of the feeder roots that are attached to these two guys and then guide them into here to get a better nabari. And then I will also lower the tree. And that's in the root pruning process, which I'm not going to do today. Today I just wanted to show you the stubs. So when you cut a Brazilian rain tree back, I like to leave at least 1.5 inches, sometimes 2 inches. In fact, I have another tree that I'm going to show you a little bit later that it died back 5 or 6 inches. So that's it for the finished tree. I have numerous other Brazilian rain trees, and they are all air layers, and they're all just in training, being allowed to grow like crazy. And I have another smaller one that I'm going to show you now that had dieback that did not do what I wanted. So I'm going to show you that. This next tree is a very young air layer that had a huge stem that I cut back right here, and I kept just the lower limb to be the tree, and I wired it a little bit, so I have a little bit of wire scars, but it's coming along. It's going to be a much smaller tree than the last guy. However, when we look, I think I'll pull it out of the pot. This is in a 2-gallon pot. When we look here, and I think this is going to be the front, we see the dieback has gone to about there, which is just about perfect. But if we spin it around, you see that the dieback has gone all the way to the base of the tree. And I'm not sure how to really rectify that. I mean, I'm not going to be able to rectify it on this tree, but I think I will still use the other side as the front. But even with leaving a stub that I thought was adequate, I still got dieback all the way down. Now it's interesting because there's a fissure right here in this part, so that may be part of the reason why it died back all the way to the ground. And it died back all the way. I mean, there you can see it's all the way. Let me try to get my shoulder out of there for the shadow. So yeah, it's died back all the way. The tree is certainly healthy. Aesthetically, you really don't want that unless you want to incorporate that into the design. But this will be the front of this tree, so you don't see that at all. I can still cut this stub to here now, and I won't get any more dieback. And then here's the rest of the tree. It's once again that classic, the way I like my trees, to have that movement. And then I've got another tree that's just in a 3-gallon pot that has grown into the ground. But I want to show you the dieback on it. So I need to walk over there. It's about 30 feet from where I'm at now. So this is one that I took a couple years ago. I don't really know. And it's in a 3-gallon pot. And I apologize for the sun and then the shade. The camera should compensate though. It's in a 3-gallon pot. It's getting a very nice fat trunk. But it's basically grown into the ground, so the pot is like, you know, inconsequential. However, look at the dieback here. That's a good 6 or 7 inches of dieback. And it died back to this little branch right here, so you can see it's dead all the way to there. But it did not move down the trunk. But that's a huge amount of dieback. Probably the most dieback I've ever seen on a Brazilian rain tree. And then here's another piece, much smaller, with some dieback too. So they are prone to dieback. So like if I want to take this limb and prune it off to make this the tree, if I cut it to here, it could conceivably die back all the way to the ground. Cut it to in here somewhere. I try to cut it back to a node So even little cuts like this, here's a little cut that has dieback. So if this was going to be the branch I'm going to remove, cut it to here, let that all die back, then you can chop it back. A Brazilian rain tree, if you have the ability to keep them warm in the winter, are fantastic bonsai. They do have some challenges. The dieback is one, the spines are another, and they can flatten, the trunk can flatten in places where you don't want it, which then creates reverse taper. And this guy's about ready to be air layered. My guess is probably 2, maybe 3, because if we spin around over here, there's another much lower limb way down here that's coming from only about an inch above the soil. That could make a very interesting tree. Oh, and here's more dieback. So, try to remove. See, that stub there has died back all the way to there. So if you're ever going to do hard pruning on Brazilian rain trees, leave stubs. Unless you want to get that effect where the trunk dies back they can die back almost all the way to the ground. So that's it for my Brazilian rain tree video. I'm really enjoying the large finished tree. It's coming along nicely. The things I want to do on that tree are, well, actually I'm just about over here. We can just sort of walk there because I put him back on the bench. So here he is again. This is the front right now, and I really want the front to be about like that. And I want to reposition those roots and then plant it a little lower. And then I need to get rid of the spines, because they will hurt you. I've been hurt. It was Hurricane Milton. I was just in a mad dash to get things moved around, and I grabbed this tree and I got poked pretty hard by one of the spines. I even did a video. I think the name of the video is "My Brazilian Rain Tree Attacked Me," and I was bleeding all over the place. I actually took a video of it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribers that hit the notification bell will be able to continue to watch this guy and the other 2 that I just showed you. I've got 3 or 4 more, all air layers that are in various places in my yard. You'll be able to watch them all develop and leave a comment. They make fantastic trees if you can understand their needs. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.